will convene. Vice Chair Kabrowski is the chair of this committee.
We have Mr. Moody, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Wehrman are on this committee with me, and approval of the minutes for December 2nd.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And for the agenda, it's been unanimously approved.
Speak into the mic so we can hear you.
I still have kind of my laryngitis, so I'll do my best. This is on the agenda. The first item is going to be the grid I proposed, which the members have. And my purpose of this tonight is just to make transparent to the public what we do and when we do these incentives, so that anybody in the public would know what the numbers are, why we're doing it, and this information should be public. That comes afterwards. So we're going to start with this item. And again,
Mr. Chairman, is this not on the agenda? We've got an update from Mr. Johnson, I believe.
Yes, sir. I believe I'm the chairman, Mr. Moody, and I changed the agenda to do this first.
On the agenda, sir. You need unanimous consent to add that to the agenda.
Yeah. And it
So
has
you're
to be
saying this is not part of the agenda?
No, it's not.
24 hours if it's published.
I sent this a week ago, and I thought the staff, when I got to them, they put this on the agenda. Am I mistaken in that?
Part of
What
the
do-
agenda packet.
Kabrowski, we were talking about economic development update, right?
Yes, sir, but
So, Mr. Kabrowski, if I could just provide some clarity for members of council if you look in the update portion of the language that was sent out and noticed to the public, what Mr. Kabrowski is talking about is contained in that. I would encourage him to do the presentation, and after the presentation, enter this into discussion based on what he's trying to achieve.
Yes.
well, I think the issue is, and tell me if I'm wrong with the attorney, that it was sent to the public, it is part of the agenda, and I believe the chairman of the committee can set the agenda. Am I wrong in that? This for clarification.
Yes, sir. You can set the agenda.
The spreadsheet was publicly noticed as attached to the agenda.
So what are you
Right.
doing first? What are you doing first?
I want to do the spreadsheet first, and then we'll get that over with, and then I'll be delighted to go to the economic development update. It's not in any way, I just want to do this first. Go ahead.
I'll just make the motion. I mean, whether folks want to take this up now or not, I don't have a particular feeling on. But what my understanding of what the agenda, or at least this part of the agenda was that we were going to take this spreadsheet, and there was a proposal to have this spreadsheet sort of become part of the yellow sheet process, so that it would be produced every time one of these deals comes forward. I've spoken with Mr. Johnson, spoken with Mr. Kabrowski. I would move that we make this spreadsheet part of the yellow sheet process with several amendments. One is simply that I would like to add a category that shows the payment in terms of property taxes that the property is currently giving the county. I think that would make it fair to sort of facilitate some of the information, the discussion that folks want to have around this. And then I do understand that in discussions with Mr. Johnson, there were some of these categories that we can't really publish. I understand the clawbacks to be one of them. Mr. Johnson, I would ask that at some point in this process, if there are others, you maybe tell us what those are. But to just take out anything that legally we can't really make a part of this, again, my understanding is that's mainly the clawbacks. But I realize that's a rambling motion, but thank you.
For the sake of discussion.
Mr.
Excuse me.
Sir, until we get an update and a presentation, why would we vote on something? I mean, I'd like to see what I'm voting on before I just blindly go out and vote. So wouldn't it be prudent and for us to get the economic development update and then discuss what you want with the spreadsheet and then take a vote on it?
And my answer to that is there are two completely separate things. The presentation we're going to get from Mr. Johnson
Yes, sir.
that I look forward to is about the economic development update, what they're doing and what the state of it is. The transparency issue of having these items for the public to know what we're doing on anyone prospectively is a completely different subject. It has nothing to do with the presentation from Mr. Johnson tonight. This is just strictly, it's not debating whether economic incentives are good or bad, not debating what they're doing. It's just transparency so that anybody in the public knows when we propose these what's happening. And I think that Councilman Wehrman's amendment is a good one. I mean, I'm open to any way to make it better, but I'm just trying to make what I believe now is opaque. So whatever we have these come in front of us, the public has a right to know. In an interest of transparency, I believe this would be a step forward. I remember when I was not on council, at some point I won't be on council again. So I feel like as a member of the public needs to know these things. It's all these things that are on this spreadsheet are things that are affected by what votes of council members do. And it affects businesses and owners of property, and the public has a right to know this. And I'm trying to simplify it so that they will know.
Right. And I don't disagree about the public. I think the public is always informed because we can't take action not unless we come before this body and make what are we voting on public. And so I would hope that you stop saying that let the public know, because the public is involved in this process, and I don't want the public to think that we just up here passing something without debating it, because every time this comes up, Merle comes up and Mr. Johnson, comes up and give a presentation, and then everybody asks questions what they want to ask, and then we move forward. And I think you've always asked questions about these incentives, and he gives you an open idea. He just don't reveal the name because of the confidentiality clause until after second reading. But I don't want the public to think that we were doing something, underhanded and not giving out this information, because council members get this information and then it's discussed. If somebody wants to come to the meeting and listen, if they want to go online and listen, they can hear it. But if everybody wants to do a sheet, it's still going to be the same thing. Mr. Johnson will get up there and make his presentation, and whatever he does is made available to the public.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, and I'm not on this committee, but the problem I see with what the motion that's being made is there no provision in this agenda item or in finance for any action to be taken. Now, if you want to explain why you want this table and why we should consider it in a future meeting, that's fine. But procedurally, I think we have a problem here because neither this committee agenda nor finance have a provision for action taken on that spreadsheet. So I want to be clear. I don't think a motion's proper at this time, and I would like to hear the presentation.
I think that I've been on council for 3 years. I've attended every committee meeting except I think I might have missed one meeting in those 3 years, and I've often been here when items come up for presentation and they're turned into action items. So that's all I'm trying to do here. I think nobody's suggesting that other council members are acting in a perfidious manner. These are all things that I think the public should know in an organized, open manner, and I see no harm in making it more transparent. That's the sole purpose tonight. There's a motion. There's a second.
Discussion?
Go ahead.
If Mr. Werman's motion is on the floor, and I agree with Ms. Honeycutt, this is wholly out of order. I would suggest you send it to staff and let them do something. But, you keep referencing this transparency, and this is insulting. It really is. You're insulting this council. You're insulting our staff. We put out a yellow sheet every time when one of these comes up. If you don't take the time to go learn about it or talk to Mr. Johnson, that's on you. Okay, but there's nothing but transparency with this council with these things. And you're going to find out, I think, from Mr. Johnson in a minute, how beneficial these things are. But to put together a grid that staff, it's many things, Mr. Werman, you said that we can't let staff design something. I think they already put it in yellow sheets pretty much if you don't want to read the yellow sheet, that's on you. But I think everything you're talking about in these grids is in the yellow sheet. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, Mr. Moody, to briefly respond, the point in public is not to act like a child or petulant or insult other members like you constantly do, whether it's me or each group. But let me say this: nobody.
You're a mess. Let's have the meeting.
You're using personal insults. I read the things, I assure you I can read as well as you do, Mr. Moody. I'm not ignorant, okay? I
Okay,
can
so
read
Mr. Chair,
English.
Mr. Chair and Mr. Moody, I would hate to just interject, but there is a motion on the floor, a second, regardless of how we feel, if it's out of order. If it is out of order, then somebody needs to enter a motion that trumps this motion so that we can kind of table it, get rid of it, whatever. Some other, motion that supersedes it could also be made, and we can get rid of that. Again, when putting things on the agenda, as we title them, it could be more transparent as to everything specifically that this would also create for discussion. And even sometimes when there's a presentation, we can say discussion and action if needed or necessary. And so I think those things would also cause individuals to anticipate, a vote of some sort if we were going to do that.
Well, again,
Clarification on response to the point of order. I think we have to know,
Yeah,
is there
so-
a motion properly on the table based on the agenda?
So
I would-
so the attorney, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Madam
I would say that on the agenda, it does not list any action. However, in the memorandum that is part of the agenda packet, it does say that action may be taken on this item.
Let's just move.
everybody got notice of it, and again, the purpose is just for transparency purposes, that, in my opinion, it makes it more transparent, but for discussion, if anybody can improve on it, I'm open to that.
I would have encouraged the presentation first, because there may be things in the presentation that then would give rise to a discussion on this table. But short of not having the presentation, I don't know what we're discussing.
And up down there, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a feeling from down here that you might have more support on this, or I might have more support on this if we take the presentation first. I hear you, and I totally understand that the presentation, I think, is going to. It is sort of different. I mean, I think what we're talking about is really a procedural issue, and some of this information is not. I will tell you, Mr. Moody, is not already available. But in any event, I'm happy to debate it whenever. I'm frankly going to take my lead from you on this one, Mr. Kabrowski. If you want to have this debate right now, I'll explain a little bit further what I'm thinking behind it. If not, maybe we can take it up after the presentation.
That your preference is to vote on it after the presentation?
I think it's going to be separate either way, frankly, and I think,
Okay.
I can make that clear when we come back.
For
to
the
it.
sake of moving forward, we'll do the economic development update now. But my understanding, that was nothing to do with the grid, but on the state, from our conversations, it was about the state of economic incentives and how they're working, why they're a good thing, nothing to do with the grid. Am I correct in that?
Yes, sir.
I believe I am.
Yes, sir. You are correct, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I appreciate you guys giving us a few minutes of your time tonight. And so I'll go ahead and get started on this presentation now. All right. So just level set everybody. We'll talk a little bit about funding for Charleston County Economic Development as a department. We'll talk about incentives and then the value of those incentives. So first and foremost, CCED is an enterprise fund, right? So we're self-sustaining. We are not funded from homeowners or other types of businesses or even the county general fund. We get our portion from the taxing entities who have received incentives from the companies. And currently right now, it's roughly 376 different tax bills. I also put a sample of a tax bill up there because I think there was some conversation or some questions regarding the school and the school district and them not receiving money. As you can see, this tax bill, the school district does receive money from our MCIP. All right, so let's talk about the enterprise fund. So in this fiscal year 2025, that is the allocation of the funds to the different taxing entities, and not all of them are up there. We just pulled out some of the bigger ones. So, for instance, our department
received $4.6 million. The county received $8.6 million. The school district received $28 million. PRC received $1.1 million, and Trident Tech received a little under $500,000. All right, so total revenues to date, just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So the county has received $181 million to date, including tax year 2025. Charleston County School District has received $306 million, and the City of North Charleston $166 million. On that note, I would like to introduce and have Mr. Daniel Prentice come up, who is here with the school district. He is their Chief Financial Officer, because I want to hear from you all how impactful economic development actually is to the school district.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Appreciate the opportunity to present to you this evening. I just want to concur with the information that your economic development directors presented. We receive the $28 million a year. About $17 million of that is fee in lieu of tax, and then the other portion of it makes up various multi-county park agreements and other negotiated deals. We receive information from the county in compliance with GASB 77, which is one of the pronouncements that we're required to comply with to report the net abatements to our constituents, but also in our annual audit. And we go through that information to understand its impact, but we also see the value of diverse economy and how that economy impacts the school district in terms of workforce development and all of the other components of the community. So we understand, of course, that the agreements that are made, we know, to reduced assessment ratio and sometimes fixed millage or some other considerations, but we respect the fact that sometimes those negotiations are needed to be able to recruit a strong and diverse economy that Charleston County, of course, is blessed to have. So I don't want to draw, and maybe I'll regret saying this, I don't want to draw parallels between a TIF and fee in lieu of tax because they're completely different. We fully understand and appreciate the need for the county to participate with the school district or the city to participate with the school district in the approval and negotiation of a TIF district under state law because of the wide swath of properties that can be included in a TIF district and the economic impact of that. We also understand the sensitivity and agility that's needed with negotiating with an individual taxpayer coming in to negotiate a single deal on a single tax bill, and how the county needs to be able to have control of that process. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but we engage with economic development and have frequent conversations about the impact of schools and the revenue and reporting that's needed for the school district to be able to project the revenues, both on the TIF side, the fee and lieu side, and all of the other special sources that we receive outside of our ad valorem collections. And it helps us build a predictable budget every year so that we know exactly what we're going to bring in and can budget for those revenue streams accordingly. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I got a question. Maybe you might can answer it. Maybe it might be illegal. So I was always told from our former attorney that these funds from the fee and lower taxes, we're not required to give these things to the, just the nicest in us to say we want to include these people. So that's an answer I need to get to make sure, Mr. Attorney, if he is correct, because if he was correct, we're not obligated. It's just generous of us to do this, to include them. But I think he says, in a TIF, yeah, but in a FILO, no. But I just wanted to put that out there and get an answer. It doesn't have to be today, tomorrow. Just research it and then let us know.
We'll look into that.
You might know, but that's what I was always told.
So some of you might know that I had a former life in county government before I came to education space. And you do have the ability, and I'm not advocating for this because I certainly appreciate the way
All right.
the way that the county distributes fee in lieu of tax follows the pro rata share based on the millage levy. So if you had 100 mills levied across county, CCSD, City of North Charleston, and we were 33% of that, we get 33% essentially of that fee bill. There are some circumstances, I was involved in one such circumstance in Dorchester County, where we used a fee from one particular project to take down additional land for economic development purposes that generated even more revenue through a subsequent fee for the school district. So those are one-off situations, but we appreciate the holistic approach to allocating fee revenue based on the same factor as regular property tax bill would be allocated based on the different millage levies.
Thank you very much for that. Because I remember it pretty good. We had a debate on that years ago when some people were trying to flex their muscle, and the lawyer just said, "Okay, well, we just won't have to give you anything." And that kind of quieted everything down because actually we're doing them a favor. It's not mandated. It's not mandated. We're doing them a favor, and we won't hurt nobody. As long as I'm up here, I'll be one advocate in there, make sure it stays the same. But I just wanted to throw that out. So when people say we're hurting the schools, we are helping the schools. We're not hurting the schools.
Yeah, and I think that some organizations that do distribute differently,
Yeah.
That can of course create the narrative of it not being a positive impact to the school district.
Right.
And I know that our state association occasionally lobbies for policy positions to allow school districts to participate in the approval process. But given the way that things are distributed here in Charleston County, and the relative transparency that we have to understanding the deals and figuring out all of the projections and calculations, we're comfortable with how things are being administered now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Frosty? Yes, sir. A couple questions. On the grid, Mr. Johnson, that $28 million that CCSD has gotten, is that calendar year or is that our county fiscal year? Is
That's for the tax year. So that is, and I don't know how they're fiscally driven, if they're fiscal year or calendar year. So
that tax year 25 is our fiscal year 2026. So the tax year, we do a July 1 through June 30 fiscal year, and the tax year, of course, is a January 1 through December 30 look. But those revenues
10 months roughly.
What's that?
So this is through 10 months.
Well, so I think that's the fee bills I would believe that are generated for all of tax year 2025.
Correct.
Since they know
How many
in
months
advance.
is in that number?
That'd be a full year.
Yeah,
Okay.
That'd be a full year.
So a couple questions. So in general, the school district benefits from the activities of the economic development at Charleston County.
Correct.
Big time, little time?
I mean, the $28 million is not if you look at our overall budget, our general operating fund is $915 million. So, it's a small percentage of the overall budget, but it's a very, valuable percentage. I mean, if you look at it from a millage composite, our 1 mill in Charleston County schools generates about $3.4 million in revenue. Under Act 388, of course, we don't collect operating for 4% properties. So it, is worth several mills of property tax levy.
For this economic activity, you would
Yes.
have to collect money from elsewhere.
Correct. If these properties were undeveloped and not generating the activity that they are based on the negotiated agreements to recruit these industries here, we would have to find additional revenue through either additional ad valorem levy or elsewhere to be able to balance the current budget.
Okay, so if Prentice LLC wants to come and build a new factory up on some undeveloped land you just mentioned, and the county does some type of arrangement, and you're getting virtually nothing on that land right now. It's undeveloped, right? Mm-hmm. So if a $50 million plant goes there, employing 100 people, a bunch of $1 million in assets go in there, you guys, you're going to generally support that, I would think, because we hear a lot of people coming here, we're taking money off the kids' tables out of their mouths. Well, they had nothing to begin with. Am I correct?
Correct.
And now they're going to have something substantially more.
Typically, the properties are, either undeveloped land or in occasions they're ag use, and so they're getting a very low assessment ratio and therefore a very small amount, of collection off of the land. So, we can understand both sides of the argument, but of course we want to, see if that ultimately is needed to recruit that industry here and turn that into a flourishing development that benefits the overall economy. Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be of great benefit to the school district.
Would the school district agree, and you're not a policymaker, but for these incentives coming, that nothing may happen to that land, and you would sit there with an ag land or something like that?
I would accept. I mean, I've argued this position before our school board with respect to participating in a TIF district. That when we do our analysis, many times, if not for the participation of all the entities together, the project would not be viable. And
So
similarly,
$30 million, is that kind of a typical number that you guys get from this yearly, or does it go up a little bit every year? I mean,
it's been increasing every year. I think we saw year over year, it was down in the $15 million range on the fee and lieu piece last year. So we saw about a $2 million increase in fee revenues year over year on the not, the fee and lieu side, excluding the multi-county park and everything like that.
Okay, but I want to make sure I got your agreement. But for these activities, money would have to be raised somewhere else.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for the speaker?
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it, sir. All right, so now let's get into the incentives portion of it. So the why, right? So South Carolina legislation allows this. It is a competitive landscape, and it's not just competitive for new companies coming here, but there's also competitive for expansions, right? And this also keeps the homeowners' taxes lower, right? So the how. Let's talk about the how. Incentives are 100% performance-based, and in the instance of the capital investment, There is a statutory minimum they must meet and maintain for the entire life of that agreement. We have no control over that. And then grant funds are approved through the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development, and we, the county, through our department, are a pass-through for those grants. It's another incentive that I want to make sure is differentiated here, that you guys understand that. All right, there's the pie. Obviously, we always talk about the pie, as Councilmember Moody had mentioned, right? I always feel like you're going to get something. You got nothing, you're going to get something at least. Let's talk about the return on investment. For every dollar that this county has given through the MCIP to our department, we've returned $10.88. This was just updated, and you will hear more about this from Dr. Joey Von Nessen and his school at the University of South Carolina. He's updated our economic impact study, and so that will be unveiled here in the next couple months. Yes, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Johnson, I meant to let you finish there. The only question was going to be, and you might be talking about the same thing, but you and I you've explained to me that there's y'all do some calculations to understand not just the effects of the deal itself, but the sort of knock-on effects in the economy. You bring a big manufacturer in, you get suppliers nearby. That's the easiest form to understand. Is that kind of what you're talking about, or is this even separate from that?
That is not that, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This is hard dollars returned to the county.
So what I'm talking about is on top of this.
You are correct. Yes, sir.
Good to know.
And now to some of the other questions, and hopefully I'll answer them as I heard some of the questions coming from you all. So we use that money to help fund community infrastructure. So Palmetto Commerce Park is a recipient of several millions of that dollars, okay? And then there are some other places. Johns Island has received some of that, and Allendale has received some of that. And there are other places in the county. But again, that is money that we have received from the MCIP that we have afforded back to this community for economic development, that you all have actually, because you all have to vote on that, have approved from that perspective. And then we also use this money to support nonprofits that support local and minority businesses, i.e. Low Country Local First, Charleston Digital Corridor, as well as the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce. I have a video that I would like to show for you all. Oh, yeah. Hopefully it'll go. If this doesn't work, well, I apologize, and I will. I'll send the link a different way, and hopefully you.
My energy bill dropped from $150 to $50 by doing this. My friends laughed at me when I spent $49 on a power saver device that could.
There we go.
If there's any product that should be made in America, it's the American flag. This is a little idea that started back in 2017. We wanted to start a company to make American flags 100% in America using American materials, and that's what we do every day here at Allegiance. We are doing that 100% in Charleston. What's not to love about Charleston County? We've got a great workforce here. We've got a thriving community with other entrepreneurs. I'm lucky to be a family man. It's an amazing place to grow a family. Charleston County economic development has been absolutely amazing. They help us really cut through the noise and figure out what programs are going to be of most assistance to us. We have such great reverence and respect not only for the flag but for this country, and we just have felt really called by military and first responder nonprofits to sort of make that part of the mission.
Hey Wes, good morning. How are you?
So great to see you today.
You too.
Just want to thank you so much for everything that you've done for our country. I want to give
appreciate
you
it.
this flag today as
Thank
well.
you. You guys make a great product, by the way.
Thank you so much. Those groups have sacrificed so much for our country, so we like to use our product as a vessel to be able to give back to them. It's amazed us how much this business has been able to grow. To walk out to the USS Yorktown and be flanked by Allegiance flags is truly a dream come true. Charleston County Economic Development, they've been kind enough to do press releases about jobs and about our overall plans for the business. Having that level of support as an entrepreneur when you're taking a real big leap of faith has been hugely valuable to us. Hopefully we're making Charleston really proud. We started this business in Charleston and we're not going anywhere. Allegiance Flag Supply, shaping Charleston's global future.
All right. And that is my presentation, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to update you all on incentives, funding, and then the value of those incentives. That was just a video that the passing of the incentives that you guys have given to this community has afforded that opportunity for that company to grow, and they've got upwards of over 25 people now working for that company.
Thank you. Anybody, Councilman, wants to ask another question?
Thank you,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Johnson, thank you, and I love that story about Allegiance. I was proud to support that one. That's a good one. I'd like about 50 of those. Companies that already are housed here that want to expand here, why do we use incentives to help existing companies grow or expand or do whatever they're doing right now?
Yes, sir.
We had that one. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We had that one recently. It was I forget the name of it now. Last couple out in Young's
Keel or Metal Trades. Yes,
Metal Trades, whatever it used to be called. So, for instance, why would we give a company like that incentives to expand?
Yes, sir. So I won't mention names, but I have an example. So obviously, it is a very competitive landscape, and with these incentives being performance based, as long as they meet the criteria of what we're looking for from a better paying job, number of jobs, capital investment, you want to incentivize them because literally our next door neighbors use that to their advantage, and then will in essence poach these companies, and so if you're not working with those existing companies and offering it, right? So those employees probably live in multiple different counties and the likes of all that, so they're still here, hopefully, right? But that tax revenue then is gone, and then you add to that the fact, as you were talking about with Daniel, once that building becomes empty, that building sat empty for a while, and so now the taxes, we're not collecting what we used to collect on that, and so in an effort to maintain what we have to stop the leaky bucket, that's why you want to continue to help your existing companies grow.
So I guess the easy follow-up to that is we have had companies, I'm assuming, that have left Charleston County because we did not offer incentives or we were not as competitive as others?
So the answer to that is both of them are correct. Both of them are correct statements. So either we didn't offer them at the time and in some instances they left because we didn't need them anymore or want them anymore because they were not paying a prevailing wage. We let them go. And then in other instances, we did get beat by incentives.
So I hear sometimes, it's always just for these big companies, always big companies, not for small business. What do we do for small businesses? And I don't know what you categorize small business. I think of small business maybe $3 to $5 million in revenues and under. I don't know how you categorize it, but what do we do for the little guys?
Yeah, yes, sir. So I tend to follow the SBA and their definition. Now their definition changes with their tables and the likes of all that. But I like to look at companies that are 500 people or less, and that revenue is closer below at least 5 million, but in some instances closer to about 3 million. And so, for instance, one of the companies you all. We work with them and we're helping them. You all have an opportunity tonight to pass a pass-through incentive for them. So Modus 21 is one of those companies, and they are a commercial and defense contractor on the tech side. And the tech that they're building is both helping the commercial side, but it's also helping our warfighters. And so that's just huge. And in this instance, I did not have to come to ask you all to pass county incentives on that. The state's is offered them that grant, and so that's one way that we help from that perspective, because them being in the multi-county industrial park gives them an additional $1,000 per person in job tax credits.
That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wants to ask a question? Rob, go ahead.
No, I'll hold off on that. I think.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, and I think in many ways you do a great job. We're leading in aviation in the world because of a large part of what you've done. And I just asked a question that, and again, praising you for what you've done and making a place where businesses want to come and stay here. But maybe it's when we say incentive, if we're still incentivized, we're offering something where they would have to pay less than they otherwise would have to encourage them to stay here. Am I wrong in that? Or how would you answer that? And just, maybe it's the wrong word that I'm saying incentive, but an incentive means that you're encouraging them to stay financially because they're benefiting by something we're offering them that they otherwise would have to do more of. Is that fair? Or how would you characterize it?
Yeah, I would answer this way, Mr. Chairman, is that in the instance of a manufacturing company,
right,
they do, again, get assessed at 10.5%. And with the fee in lieu of taxes, we do reduce that assessment ratio to 6%, and that is an effort to gain that money for the taxing entities.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to renew my motion, which I think is still sort of on the floor, but maybe just to add a little explanation behind this for folks, since I guess this was agendaed in a sort of unique way. So, I would take Mr. Moody's point that probably 80-90% of this is already available either on the yellow sheet or with some math. However, I do think, and I think we've seen it in this council, and I'm going to avoid the philosophical debates as Mr. Kabrowski and I have called them, but we are on opposite sides of them. But I do think it's even been referenced in the discussion today that there is a lot of consternation about all these things in the public. And so I do think anything we can do to clarify some of that is going to be helpful. And beyond that, frankly, I do think this column that Mr. Kabrowski's proposed without incentives, parenthetical, assumes project goes forward without incentive. That's the hypothetical number that you would get if they came here, but you never gave them an incentive. I understand that's not calculated. I understand why we don't calculate it. I substantively believe that that's not a number that is much more than hypothetical. But other folks do believe that's important, and I don't think there's any reason for us to, hide the number. Not that we're hiding it. I mean, I think we're not, but there's reasons why we haven't been calculating that. But to the extent it can be calculated, I have no issue with putting that out there, letting folks understand things. The reason for my amendment was there's a flip side to all of that, which is what is the property currently bringing in? I think there's a lot of folks on this council who do think that in the aggregate, these deals are a net positive on the county budget. And so, seeing that number is quite low, if these folks did not come here or if they didn't expand, whatever the case may be, I think that would make that point just as easily. So, I view this as sort of again, it's just an informational, step. I think it's not laden with any particular philosophy on these questions, but I do think these questions are coming up more and more. I'm certainly hearing it in my community. And I basically think that there is some misinformation out there. And I think the more we can do to facilitate a good faith debate about it, the better off we're going to be as a county. So I'm happy to support the idea and make the motion.
Thank you. Is there still the second, Chairman?
I'll second it for the sake of discussion.
Is there anybody else who'd like to discuss it?
Mr. Darby?
No, I just had a question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Darby.
I know we provide incentive for manufacturing companies, and of course they pay high dollars, and to the point of some people can live in the middle class. But when we have the restaurant industry, which basically hire people of the lower class, and so many of them have closed in the past decade, what are we doing to help the restaurant industry in terms of incentives? because they're closing year after year, particularly dealing with the problems of those who happen to be the common man and or woman. I apologize.
So, Mr. Darby, as I can recollect, this body has not passed incentives for a restaurant. Okay, and so from that perspective, we are not. They're not in a fee. They're not in the MCIP. So that being said, we do partner with Explore Charleston and the Convention Visitors Bureau, right? And so we support them in the endeavor of tourism and hospitality and the likes of all those restaurants. One, and then some restaurateurs that are looking to open up shop are doing that with one of our partners, Low Country Local First. And we support Low Country Local First and have gone so far as to catalog what I would say would be below market rate space for some of those new startups in an effort to help them get stabilized. And one of the corridors that we're doing it in is in Mr. Moody's district. It's in West Ashley, right? Because this was done in conjunction with Eric Pullman from the city of Charleston, and Low Country Local First was helping from that perspective. So that's one example of how we are trying to help from that perspective, sir.
Well, I appreciate your answer and your professionalism, sir, and your expertise, but and perhaps it's incumbent upon Charleston County, but the direct incentives to manufacturing companies are not applicable here. And I think perhaps that's something we need to look at. Now, just as we have, as an example, reduced the taxes for the manufacturing companies, is there anything wrong with this council in trying to get taxes reduced for the restaurant industry, say, for instance, from that 6% to 4%? Or whatever they are charged now. What percentage are they now, sir? 6%.
That's correct. 6%.
Right.
Sir.
Would it not be good politics or economics to save this restaurant industry, which has so many poor people working for it? Because once they are closed, these people are in need of jobs. So, I mean, just as from your professional perspective, sir, would that not assist the restaurant industry if those taxes were lowered, sir?
So, Mr. Darby, that's a great question. If I can get a little bit of time,
yes, sir,
to determine where their cost of doing business, right, where
yes,
their
sir,
taxes are in that. If you can give me some time, please.
Thank you, sir. I
Yes,
appreciate it, sir.
I do want to clarify something,
Yes.
though. Assessment ratios are statutory.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
they are already in the only way you can get the 4% ratio is for homeowners that they have to apply and live in their home. It doesn't allow us to lower the assessment ratio on businesses.
Again, as an example, I didn't mean
I know,
to
I
make
just
that
wanted
out of
you to-
stone.
yeah,
But as an
it's
example
statutory.
Or something innovative to assist the restaurant industry. Yes, I understand in terms of state regulation and whatnot.
Mr. Darby, good point. And so we have the accommodation taxes. Maybe it's some way we can revamp, the accommodation taxes that so much goes in a pot to help these restaurants, because that's what they make their money on. People coming in, buying food and drinks and paying taxes, instead of, some of these other entities out here. I know they say they put heads in beds, but without the restaurant. So maybe, I don't know if that's something we can look into, and maybe something we can do ourselves with the accommodations. I don't know, but I think incentivizing the restaurants would be a great thing coming out of the accommodations. You just take a certain percentage, maybe 10%, to go toward incentivizing these restaurants to help keep them in business. That's just a thought, sir, because the property taxes is regulated by the state. But I'm just trying to figure out a way, like you are, to help some of these restaurants.
I mean, something innovative. I'm not saying. I mean, something's innovative that would help, but just to preserve jobs.
Ms. Sharon, if you might, if you can look into that and see, it may even be legal. Maybe we can't. You work with economic development to see if we can use accommodations tax to help incentivize some of these restaurants, because that's who collect these taxes.
I'll look into that, and also I'll look into the SBE program to see if there's
Okay.
anything they can also do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, the restaurant industry was just an example. That's all. I'm not saying that is it. I'm just
I
saying
understand.
as an example, there are different other industries which may be in greater need as well. But I was just use that as an example.
Yes, sir. And with
Yes.
all these tariffs and stuff that's going on now, Mr. Darby, I think everybody's going to need incentive
Yes, sir.
to stay afloat, because people are actually paying more for goods than they actually, a year ago this time. And so they either have to raise their prices, or some of them have to go out of businesses.
Yes, and as an example, just let me, and I'm going to hush my mouth. I understand the statutory in terms of tax term of 4%, but say for instance, if this restaurateur, whoever the term may be, will say that if you could assist me if you could assist my paying taxes, whatever that 4% meant, which would allow me to stay in business, would you not assist that way? Something of that nature, simply as an example, nothing more.
Thank you.
I just have another question for Mr. Johnson. Because we're about to vote on the motion, and again, I thank you for your excellent presentation as to how you've helped Charleston County, but nothing about the presentation has anything to do with the grid, right? That's accurate, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And would this require you to have a special person to do this, or hire somebody just for this particular thing? Because I know it's going to put more work on you and your staff. So my question is, would this require you to hire another, to have another FTE?
For the grid, sir?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay.
But I would say, Mr. Pryor, that a significant portion of the grid is covered within the yellow sheet.
So it's just a matter of putting it out on a piece of paper.
Yes, sir. Not all of it, but
Yeah,
but
what's
a significant portion.
shareable?
Yes, sir.
What's shareable? And then that paper would come to council and then be posted on the website? Would just come to council, because if it's not going to be posted on the website, I see no need in doing the sheet, and only council going to see it, and we got it right now. But if it's available to the public, as put on the website, that's different. But if it's just let me finish, please, sir. But if it's just going to be for council members, that individual council member can request that without having to. But if it's not going to be downloaded on the website, I see no need in doing this sheet, because everybody understands what's going on now, and if they need additional information, they can always contact you. But I thought this was something that's going to be put on the website, but if it's not going to be put on the web, I can't support it, because, I already get this information. And we discuss it in public during a meeting like we're doing now.
It would be on the website. That's part of the purpose of it.
It won't be on the website.
So please refer to the clerk.
Why can't we put it on the
Please
website?
refer to the clerk.
So what I'll say is that it's part of our policies that when you consider financial incentives, economic financial incentives, we post just a placeholder in
Right.
your agenda packet that's for the public that says those financial incentives will be discussed by the finance committee, because they're not public information at that point. They're not public information until y'all discuss them here at the
Right.
finance committee.
Right.
So the only thing that we put out on our website is just a placeholder that says y'all will discuss financial incentives for this project or that project.
Well, my response to that is, this is, again, making it transparent and simple. If it goes out on the packet, if it goes out to the public, then it is public and anybody can see this and better understand what we're doing, what the monies are, what's going out, what's coming in, and what is the purpose. And we're a public body. We're the Charleston County Council. We're not a private bank. We're not a private company. We're not a private insurance company. And anything in public. So if we're making it more transparent and understandable so people could know what we're doing, I think it's a good thing. And I'm sorry, Mr. Moody, we got into a discussion personal. We're on the same page in wanting economic incentives the county to grow. So I didn't mean to get in that. I apologize for that. We want the same thing. It's only for transparency. Or go ahead.
Can we just call for the vote?
Is there any other discussion by anybody?
The point of
Yes, sir.
order trumps the rest of that, I think.
Well,
Call for the question.
Call the question trumps
for the
all
question.
that. But my final answer is, if this is not going to be on the website, it will be on after the full deal is disposed. It's signed. People can look and see that, but Ms. Salisbury is right. So I've already heard what I had to have. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let's do a roll call vote then for the committee members.
Yes, sir.
And this is for approval of the motion.
Would you like me to read the motion?
Okay.
The motion, as I have it, is that this spreadsheet would become part of the yellow sheet process with amendments to include a category to outline the current taxes collected on the parcels and to remove any columns from the spreadsheet that are not legally permissible. Okay. Is that right, Rob?
Sorry, I had something happening over here. Can you repeat it? I apologize.
This spreadsheet will become part of the yellow sheet process with amendments to include a category to outline the current taxes collected on parcels and remove any columns that are not legally allowed.
Yes, okay, I'm glad you got, thank you, yes, that's
okay.
correct.
All right, so I'm just going to do a roll call of the people on this committee. Mr. Moody?
I'm going to vote no because I think it's redundant.
Mr. Pryor?
And if it's not going to be a part of the regular, and posted on the website, and I'm on a vote no because I think we already had that information as council members, and when it's ready to be delivered to the public, then it would be uploaded to the website. So I think if any individual council member has questions, they can go to economic development or they can go to finance or either the attorney or the administrator and get those things that they want. And if they need to discuss that with their constituents or somebody's calling them, they actually can discuss that. So I don't want to go against the state rules.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
Mr. Middleton?
No.
Mr. Kabrowski?
Well, before I answer this, like Councilman Pryor said, that he mentioned like 5 or 6 different sources you'd have to go to find the information. This is a way to put it out there so anybody, the public, is treated the same as anybody on council, anybody on staff, anybody, if we vote affirmatively in this, anybody in the public would know this information about what the council is doing and something very important. And whether it's money from the taxpayers, it's based on lots of money that in livelihoods that are affected by decisions we make. So I think it's transparent in what we should do. My vote would be aye, yes.
Motion fails with a vote of 2 ayes and 3 nays.
We will now move to our Human Resource Committee. Vice Chair Kabrowski is the chair of this committee.
On this is Mr. Darby, Mr. Sass, and Mr. Wehrman. I ask for the approval of the minutes of April 3rd.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes
Move
unanimously.
to approve 2A.
Call for the vote. You want to do all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. We will move to our Finance Committee meeting where all members of council are part of this committee. Item 1, approval. Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 2, 2A through.
I got 2A.
Yes.
I got a question.
All right. So let's
for
ask.
staff. Okay, so I saw something there about Somerville baseball. So isn't that in Dorchester County?
No, sir. The plot of land that the ball fields sit on is in Charleston.
That's Cahagan Park you're talking about? This is different? Because I know I represent some people in Somerville, so as long as it's in the Charleston County side?
It is the Charleston County. We pulled the plat up through the application and review process to make sure that the ball field sat in unincorporated Charleston County. Yes, sir.
So my plea can be, before we make the final decision, put in the agenda Somerville Park in Charleston County?
Sure.
So it's clarification. When somebody looks on the website, they don't think we're doing something for Dorchester County.
Yes, sir. We can do that.
All right, item
Move
2.
for approval A through F.
Probably moved.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor? Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I want to thank Ms. Craig for engaging me. I'm going to support this lease. I think the lease rates are pretty nuts. But I understand that's the main library. It's a big deal downtown. It's a hub, and I know we need to have some kind of presence downtown, but anyway, that's it.
And the money is in the budget. They budgeted for this year.
But it's in their fund balance. It's in there,
Right.
but it's being transparent. It's everybody's
As you
money,
listen
right?
to me.
So, thank you, sir.
Thank you for listening.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Good night.
Listen to me.
That's what you're going to, yes, that's what you'll get.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, council members, Reverend Member. To